It's Wednesday, and what have we just witnessed? Fulham fans, my heart breaks for you, and you know I mean it. Carabao it up in the face. Fulham dreamt and dreamed and strived. They touched the sun, only to plummet. Oh, Marco Silva knows that feeling all too well. Like Jack Nicholson in Chinatown, it's Anfield, Marco. We will break it all down. We'll touch upon Chelsea's platinum bed-shitting up at Middlesbrough. That happened. United won a big boy game. Spurs, they're buying bloody everybody and more. We will take your questions. That is the most important part here on the first Do It Live of 2024, a YouTube Live. Oh, a very special edition for full America fans. Let's just talk about the first 68 minutes of the game, shall we? And you, dear GFOPs, can come up and be with us. That's why I love these YouTube Lives. Here's how you do it. You just scan the QR code top left of your screen, which will take you into a Zoom with our producer, Jake. He's totally harmless. He'll get you up on stage. It's audio only. It's not visual, so do not worry. You don't have to look beautiful, just like I don't have to look beautiful. It's just you and me. Come on up. Do not be afraid. And if not, get in the chat. Give us a like, and we will rock it together this evening. But first, a toast. I want to start by raising my first Bud Light of the day to the memory of Franz Beckenbauer, an iconic German great who passed away yesterday. Elite footballer, manager, slightly dodgy FIFA administrator, although that's redundant. I think you can just say FIFA administrator, right? We wrote about him in our book, Gods of Soccer, that he was a gent who embodied just about every negative stereotype ever tossed around derisively about Germans. He was aloof, he was logical, he was conservative, annoyingly consistent, more efficient than Angela Merkel and Augustus Gloop if they had a giant German baby with the Scorpions playing love-making music in the background. He was so bloody Teutonic that his nickname was Der Kaiser, so it's perhaps the greatest tribute to the man who re-engineered the modern game of football that even English people cannot help but revere him. World Cup 1970, he played on in the semi-final with a dislocated shoulder, his arm in a sling. And this is how we inherited him. I never saw him with my own eyes play football, but English kids comics that I grew up with, there he is, arm in a sling, just bravely, courageously, elegantly playing on in the World Cup semi-final when his nation needed him. He's one of only three men who lifted the trophy both as captain and manager. He's almost a superhero, a legend, mostly because he controlled the game with his mind from the back. We think of Trent Alexander-Arnold as this hybrid player, playmaking from fullback position. It was Beckenbauer who created the modern defender. John Stones before there was John Stones. Really, before there was John Stones' dad, probably. Remember, John Stones' nickname when he came through at Everton was Barnsley Beckenbauer, because Franz was that state of the art. His name became definitive, like Xerox or chapstick. He was the first popular culture superstar of Germany. Post-war, just the most famous German globally. So famous, he even recorded bloody singles. Look at this one. I have a lot of football vinyl. This is one of my favorites. It's a great track. Guter Freunde kann niemand trennen. True friends can never be separated. It's a hurdy-gurdy track. Part Donovan, a little bit Hasselhoff. And God bless him. It was his philosophy. Good friends, no one can tear apart. Good friends are never alone, because in life, one can be there for one another. The essence of football team collective. He had the Coda in New York with the Cosmos, which made him an American icon. But my Lord, as we hurtle towards 2026 in the United States, it was really the roots of Beckenbauer, Pele, Cruyff, who, almost the amuse-bouche for this massive wave of football popularity we are now circling. And when I mention those names, this is it. Beckenbauer's passing brings to an end a generation of really the immortals in football. The first televisual superstars, global superstars, Pele, Bobby Charlton, Johan Cruyff. Miguel Delaney wrote beautifully about them in The Independent, an elevated group of players who reached their prime during the classic television age between the 50s and the 80s. It is little coincidence that they shone in this new era of Technicolor and coloured the game's formative collective consciousness. It's so bloody true. I didn't see Beckenbauer with my own eyes. He was done as a player when I was a kid. But these immortals defined the game for us. They were the first generation of true global superstars. Their names will always be with us, like Kareem here in the United States, Magic Johnson, Roger Staubach, Walter Payton will never be forgotten. To Franz Beckenbauer, may his name always be remembered with love. To tonight's main event, Liverpool-Fulham, Carabao Cup semi-final, first leg, history for Fulham, incredible, first League Cup semi-final ever, Liverpool record 19th appearance. Big news for the Reds this week, dark news really. Trent Alexander-Arnold now ruled out suddenly for 3 weeks at least with a knee injury. Means he'll miss both legs of this clash in agony. He's been such a creative force, a life force really over the past month for Liverpool. Liverpool already down the other fullback position, one Andy Robertson and one Tsimikas on the other side of the flank. Question, Liverpool fans, how might Trent's absence impact the title race? That remains to be seen. Tonight, young Irishman Conor Bradley, 20 years old, mere 4 senior appearances before tonight. He got the start for Fulham. Can we just say how magical to see our friend Tim Ream, old enough to be Conor Bradley's great-granddad, back on the bench after being injured right before the holidays. Welcome back to you, Timothy Ream. The game began as we all thought it would. Liverpool charging forward. Fulham, really, the fans there delighting, just booing their former player, Harvey Elliott, with every touch of the ball. Fulham, though, they keep their shape so well. That shell, they're so organised. They keep calm. They're not overrun. Bernd Leno did well with his handling on anything he could to scoop it up in the area. And despite the possession, Fulham were the ones who were scurrying on sight, a team coiled to prey on mistakes. And what was shocking was who made one. Virgil van Dijk blew a clearance with his head in his own box, was left flat-footed. And it's honestly difficult amidst all that handsomeness to look like shit. But Verge did, and Pereira pounced, charged forward. It was his diagonal pullback that found old man Willian, who dribbled in at kind of like weirdly slow, fast pace. And Bradley fell at his feet in his aura. And then the Brazilian slipped the ball in through the legs of the recovering Van Dijk. I don't know how you say 5-hole in Dutch. I'm sure it's something like with a lot of gutturals in there. Hole, probably 1-0. Fulham, silver ball, gobsmacking. Because Fulham had only won twice in their previous 47 visits to Anfield. That last game in December, they had the temerity to go 3-2 up, I think in the 80th minute. It felt like they'd historically won there at Anfield, only for Liverpool to strike twice in the last seconds of the game. You remember that Endo strike that turned the game around. But it was Liverpool who seemed paralysed. Here, they had so much of the ball, but without confidence searing fullbacks. They almost neutralised themselves. A lot of sterile possession in the midfield. Fulham, they were the ones who had confidence to surge in pulses. Anthony Robinson, loving any chance to maraud. As the Liverpool fans bristled, the Fulham fans milked every second to take moments off the clock with their gamesmanship, just winding Liverpool up. And for all of Liverpool's possession, that first half, Leno, I think he had just one save to make. So bloody quiet at Anfield at half-time. It's quite magnificent. Liverpool essentially played like Arsenal, but with a lot more red in their kit. Possession, without urgency. On came Darwin Núñez. That got a chaos on 56 minutes. Changed the game. Liverpool still straining. Really not Klopp grade anything. This team, who had not lost at home all season, who'd scored in each of their last 41 games, apart from that United snore draw over the holidays, they strained. Nothing close to that heavy metal myth of football that Klopp likes. It all felt kind of alt country, if we're being honest. Needed something, and they got something unorthodox to change the course of the game. 68th minute, Q Jota winning the ball in that midfield. Ball came out to Curtis Jones on this night, the only Scouser in the team. He lashed the ball, thick deflection, cruel off Tosin's spine. Leno could do nothing as he whiz-banged into the corner of his net. And within 3 minutes, so bloody predictable, it would get worse for Fulham Football Club. Was it Karl Marx who said, history repeats itself? First as tragedy, second as Liverpool coming from behind to take the lead against Fulham again. And it was Jota again, ferreting forward, feeding Darwin near the byline, fine ball, pulled back. I'm legally required to know, knowing Darwin, it was probably a shot, but it came to Gakpo, Scored in every round of the Carabao so far. He's a bit like Beto in red, in between two Fulham defenders. Phenomenal positioning, a perfect way to stab home. 4 in 4 for him. And suddenly Anfield was alive. Liverpool was storming to put the whole tie away, reaching for that third goal, reaching for some distance between the two. A Darwin header and a Darwin close range flick, both palmed away by Leno. I think the closest they came. But it's got to be recognised, Fulham were fine. They really were. The organisation of Marco Silva, it worked until it didn't. That game plan. Liverpool were poor. They were out of gear for much of this game. Another time in which the Klopp substitutions changed the outcome. Darwin with the assist, Gakpo with the opening goal. Huge credit then. And it pains me to say this. You know it does. That Liverpool summoned the strength to find a way, anyway, when most teams would have drowned in their own muck of off-formness. Semi-final, though, is still alive. Remains to be seen who will face Middlesbrough in the final. I jest, Chelsea fans. Talking of, Fulham have to lick their wounds, go back down south, prepare to face Chelsea at the weekend in the West London derby. Liverpool, they have a week off. No game for 11 beautiful days. Lewis looking good. Billy Ray. Oh, feeling good, Lewis. As a coder, I don't often cover the ins and outs of Saudi Arabian football. You know that because it's essentially, well, it's a PR scheme. It's like the ShamWow infomercial of global football. But my lord, talk about incredible human drama, human tragedy, really. 2 words for you. Jordan Henderson. You remember him, right? The man who went to Al Ettifaq 6 months ago, announcing that he was so excited, quote, to grow the game that I love in another country and grow the league into one of the best in the world. 6 months on, he desperately wants to leave. His team are 8th in the Saudi Pro League, 28 points off the top. They play in the hottest part of the country. They played often to like a handful of fans, couple of dozen at times. I mean, it's looked awful, honestly. I watched one game. Jordan Henderson made one recovery run from the halfway line deep into his own box. It was so bloody hot. He immediately looked gassed, just keeling over, almost in need of coming off. And Hendo has reportedly, according to the English newspapers, quote, not settled in Saudi Arabia. Who would have thought it? Struggled to adapt to playing in the heat, the humidity. Furthermore, the tiny crowds at Al Ettifaq generate. He wants to cut the whole stint over. Yes, the money received was sweet, reportedly around $1 million a week. And the question is, how much money is worth lacerating your own legacy? Not just lacerating it, utterly taking a match, covering yourself in oil, torching it. Hendo, remember, was the man who carried himself as the conscience of the British game, the moral leader through COVID, through the pandemic, into the Qatar World Cup. He was a massive vocal ally of LGBTQ causes, selling out for coin. I will never forget, whatever happens, a phenomenal football player for Liverpool Football Club at times, a gentleman that was not just intangible, an incredible leader in Liverpool's great moments of the modern period. You will remember that. But you'll also remember the sad hostage video of his Go Saudi Arabia World Cup 2024 slightly weird hostage selfie that he had to post. He now wants to come home. I don't know who would want such compromised goods in a Premier League locker room, watching him be booed by England fans on repeat. Ajax have been linked. Honestly, he's turned into a cautionary tale that transcends football. He's more than a footballer now, really a true darkness. Keep getting those comments in the chat. Jake Hookie says about Marco Silva, even former Everton managers aren't allowed to have nice things at Anfield. It's truth. It's truth. Meanwhile, our mate Gustavo C says AC Milan and Atletico Madrid both lost. So loving the sight of Rog right now. God bless you. Christian Pulisic and Yunus Musso struggle tonight against Atalanta. We are sorry. Gustavo Atleti fell cruelly to Real Madrid 4-3 in extra time in the Spanish Super Cup. The goal that won it, just one of the great comedy goals of all time. Search it out on the internet tonight. It will bring cheer to your heart unless you're an Atleti fan. Talking about shocking results, Chelsea Football Club going up north to Middlesbrough in the semi-final first leg of the Carabao, losing 1-0. I'll just say becoming known as a team who blew £1 billion. That is where we are for Chelsea. Brewster's millions of football, all that money, all those bodies, nothing coherent coming out of it as a collective. Every step forward. That quarter-final win against Newcastle, the penalty win, which was sweet, 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 a turning point for the season, followed by a blazing dumpster mean of a performance last night against Middlesbrough, up there in the boisterous, passionate, football-loving northeast of England, a fallen football team in a post-industrial town. Middlesbrough once known for steel and coal and iron and ships. Now an innocuous championship team managed by former United stalwart Michael Carrick. They currently sit, I think it's 11th in the second tier. How do you feel, Chelsea fans? It's a team that had lost 6 of their past 10. And football, we know, is most often played by balance sheets. The results correlate, but not on this night, my lord. A night Middlesbrough fans will talk of for decades. By the way, their fans revelled in every moment last night. The noise was incredible. Chelsea missed chance after chance. But in terms of the madness of Chelsea, you only need to look at the inconsistency of Moises Caicedo and Enzo Fernandez in midfield. Over $254 million worth of supposed impenetrable midfield cover. Just look at them on the goal. Both feckless, young 21-year-old local lad Hayden Hackney, Double H, linked to a ton of Premier League suitors, bolstered his reps, scoring the only goal. And this tie is redeemable in the second leg at Stamford Bridge in 2 weeks' time. But the problems which put Chelsea 1-0 down, they will not go away. If I was a Chelsea fan, my biggest fear would be how profligate Cole Palmer was in this one. Flat Levi Colwill was. I love Poch. I adore Poch. But it's hard to name one young player who has really soared in their confidence consistently this season. And that is the tough thing. That's what Poch did at Tottenham Hotspur. Poch is not able to do that in this madness. It's a nagging agony which plagues me about this project. There's so much wrong with it right now. And for all of you Chelsea fans screaming about Chelsea's injury list, which has been cruel, and the lack of Nkunku again, that must feel like an agony. I think Middlesbrough had 13 players out last night to more. Quick word, big week for Manchester United fans. Your team dodged a bullet Monday night in the FA Cup. You won a big one in the cold of Wigan, home of the Verve. And their League One opponent went down 2-0, comprehensive without drama win, which was lovely for a change, I'm sure, for United fans. News crackling out of Old Trafford. Dortmund today agreed a $4.5 million package to take mega flop Jadon Sancho back to the Bundesliga on loan. Player came to United for, was it $93 million? Scored just 12 goals in 82 games. A mere 6 assists sprinkled in there too. Really a Bundesliga return of shame. Godspeed to Jade. There must have been a darkness. By the way, his return, what does that mean for Gio Reyna's time in Dortmund? Which is a worrying concern in its own right. In other United news, report that the new controlling owner, Jim Ratcliffe's Ineos, expect their audit of United to take 8 weeks. There will be no major decisions while it's ongoing, no managerial changes. Anything is possible. Finally, Tottenham. Oh, God bless. Let me get my Tottenham mug. Oh, God bless. Mwah. Oh, welcome back, old friends. Spurs yesterday confirmed the signing of Timo Werner on loan from RB Leipzig. What a time it is to be alive. Timo holding up a Spurs shirt. Kai Havertz staggering around in an Arsenal jersey. Talked about this move in Monday's pod. I do think it makes so much sense. Don't know how you feel, Tottenham fans. I think he's a good player on a redemption mission under the compassionate leadership and man management of Ange Postecoglou. On a squad missing Sonny, needing a compliment to Richarlison in his absence. Feels like there's no downside, especially with a relatively low option to buy, about 20 million at the end of the season. It's like a loaner vehicle. Scored 23 goals in 89 appearances for Chelsea over 2 seasons. I think that number was actually 123 goals if you add in fractionally offside ones. I wish Timo well. It was a human agony, honestly, watching him at times at Chelsea. And I hope he can have what is technically known as a Pulisic of a rebound, which could make his second coming debut this weekend against Manchester United. Amazing. One other Spurs signing, 21-year-old Genoa central defender Radu Dragusin, flying into London to sign imminently, according to Fabrizio Romano. Romanian chose Spurs over Bayern Munich. Huge defensive cover for Big Ange. 2 or 3 targets secured. They just need another ball winner, I think, to augment James Maddison. I like Conor Gallagher. Let's see. ... Keep banging those comments in the chat. Jesse Gropper, loving young Conor Bradley at Liverpool, saying forget Henderson, give Conor Bradley the number 14 shirt. The right back depth sorted. Gomez can take over Matip's centre back role. Finally and only. By the way, Conor Bradley confident tonight. Obviously not surging forward with the same, but who can? He's not superhuman. I would say adequate and lots to go. But to your questions, and here's a reminder of how this works. Here on YT Live, you just have to scan the QR code in the top left of your screen or click on the pinned comment in the chat. Will take you into a Zoom with our producer, Jake, who can tell you everything you need to know. Do not be afraid. Come and be with me. God bless in every regard. Let us see what is going on here. Jesse, and such a good guy. He's letting Dyer comfort his lonely friend Harry. That is true. God, just lads together in every regard. We have got somebody coming in fresh off the Fulham game. We have got Sammy from early kickoff, diehard Fulham fan, gone all that way, up north, beyond the wall. Are you there, you beautiful human being? Sammy? Come be with me, baby. Sammy, are you alive? Over.
Rog?
Samuel! Gorgeous.
Hello, how you doing?
Oh, mate, I am so sorry, and you know I mean it, mate. How are you holding up? Let's only talk about the first 68 minutes, yeah?
Yeah, that would be lovely, Rog. Yeah, no, it was disappointing, but still in the tie. I'm just, I'm right outside the Cop right now, just, licking my wounds, having a pint, drowning my sorrows.
Oh, mate, tell us, talk to me about your day on the long drive up. I mean, not just up north. It's almost into another decade. It's like, does it feel like for you Southerners a drive back into the 1980s going up to Liverpool?
A little bit. Train though, so the train kind of takes the edge off it, because one moment you're in London, a few cans on the train later you're in Liverpool. So no, it's been a really fun day. Had a couple of drinks in the city centre, then got the taxi up here to Anfield. The new Anfield Road stand where the away fans sit is incredible.
Incredible.
And the atmosphere tonight, the atmosphere tonight was really good, and just sad that Fulham couldn't get it over the line, because, as you say, for the first 70 minutes, I honestly thought, I dared to believe, Rog.
That's what I wanted to know. I've got 2 big questions. Number one, how is the Fulham vibe on the train up? You know, I've gone to a lot of away games on that trains. There's a lot of edge. There's a lot of aggro. There's a lot of human darkness. But when you go and watch a game at Fulham, it's like, I think I'm the hardest guy in the stadium when I go to Craven Cottage. It's like going to a game with a lot of substitute geography teachers. What is the vibe on the Fulham train? It's very polite, very genteel, a lot of Pims being drunken.
I mean, it was. I must admit, it was because we got about a lunchtime train. Everyone was in. Everyone was in good spirits. There was a lot of Fulham fans that made this trip. A bit more than probably you'd expect normally. I think a few of the old boys who maybe don't go to so many away games decided that this was their trip of the year. So no, it was in good spirits. It wasn't too much aggro as you mentioned. I think everyone's just excited. It's such a historic event for Fulham. Never reached a semi-final of the Cup before. So I think to get here is just been such a dream for all of us, and you know, we were so keen to see it continue, and I still really think we're in this tie, Rog. Liverpool got to come to the Cottage. They still got all the injury issues that they had, only got a 1-goal advantage. A lot of Fulham fans I was speaking to before this game said I would take a 1-goal defeat, and that's what's happened.
What a gift. Can we talk about Willian? This is a remarkable human being, a remarkable rejuvenation. I mean, he's not quite Tim Ream's age, but he's like late 70s, right? He's up there. This is a man who stormed and, you know, just delighted, then went to Arsenal, floundered, was meant to disappear from our radars, but has just come back and is playing with an ebullience and a wonder. I mean, that goal that moment, the possession, the confidence, the season, Marco Silva ball. Talk us through that experience for you there at Anfield.
It was one of the better away day celebrations when that one went in, especially I think because the first half an hour it felt like Liverpool were on top and Fulham were just desperate to stay in the game. So I think then to actually turn the screw and actually get one ourselves was just magic. And yeah, Willian, just the thing is that they always say that form is temporary, class is permanent, and I think with Willian that is very much the statement. He doesn't quite have the pace, he doesn't quite have the stamina that he used to, but he's still just, his control of the football means that he doesn't need to be the fastest player on the pitch. He's still, he is the Brazilian's Brazilian in terms of just being oozing class whenever he touches the ball, and that goal just typified it really. A bit like Tim Ream, I just wonder how long he could play football, because realistically his touch and his composure is going nowhere. So as long as he can still tie his own shoelaces, I think he'll still be playing football somewhere.
In America, on pickup basketball courts, they call what Willian has as old man strength, Sammy. You can't explain it. You can't teach it. It's like guile, craft, experience. The way he popped it between Virgil's confounded legs. I mean, if you could bottle what Willian has, you would be a billionaire. Anfield went dead. It went utterly dead. I don't know if it felt like that, if you were just singing your heart out and you couldn't hear a thing. But in that moment, were you like hugging each other and just like, we are here for history. We are going to do this. Or like me, are you just like always braced for darkness?
Oh, yeah, I think a mixture of both. I mean, when the goal went in was just mad. Someone hit me in the mouth. I knocked someone's glasses off. It was just one of those. I felt sorry for the night guy whose glasses I knocked off. He was down on the floor trying to find them. I felt really bad. But yeah, I think as soon as it goes 1-0, you're instantly just braced for Liverpool to score. And then again, it's just because it didn't happen for so long, you go, maybe we could take this 1-0 back to the cottage. Maybe we could get a draw here. But I think actually, obviously, Anfield is a bear pit when they get something go their way. But Fulham as well this season seem to have a tendency of conceding one and then conceding one straight away. And so as soon as Gakpo scored, you just knew, you were like, just waiting for the second. I'm just so glad that Fulham stopped the tide there, because they had chances to make it 3. I think if it was 3-1, I think we're out this tie. But 2-1, I think it's very much still alive.
I'd agree with you. I love your phrase, Liverpool still have to come to the cottage, which sounds less like a menacing sporting something. It feels more like the opening line of a great Thomas Hardy romance novel. You've got Chelsea at the weekend. I mean, what now? Do you recoil? Do you go again? Or what's the mood? Are you feeling like, 2-1 is a win? With the second leg 2 weeks' time, like we are still alive. We can still turn up at the cottage and feel like there is something there. Where are you in the energy level and the focus ahead of that big clash at the weekend?
Yeah, it's a bit weird because, ordinarily a derby against Chelsea is the biggest match of the season, but it's a little bit odd that actually it's a bit of an afterthought, really, I think, for Fulham fans. But actually, I've got my ticket. We haven't won at the Bridge in 40, 50 years. And looking at that game yesterday against Borough, would back us to have a good go. I mean, it's going to be tough to pick ourselves up with just a few days, to rest before it. But, I think Fulham fans, you can't find many Fulham fans that aren't up for a trip to the Bridge in the SW6 derby. So, no, I think we'll be ready to go again. Fulham have their break after Chelsea. So we've got, the Chelsea game. Then all the players have got their flights to Dubai booked. They'll have 3 or 4 days in the sun, and then they'll be ready to come back for the second leg of the cottage with a big break beforehand. And that's actually a little bit of an advantage for us over Liverpool, because they have to play 3 days before the second leg. So we've got a nice long rest going into that game in a couple of weeks.
Can we get a prediction?
What, for the cup?
Second leg, 2 weeks' time.
I think 1-0 Fulham on penalties.
I love it. God, that Anthony Robinson penalty. By the way, Fulham did us Fulham did us on penalties, and Anthony Robinson that night, that was bittersweet for me. Watching Anthony Robinson stride up to take a penalty against Everton, that was a bloody good penalty. He will be absolutely just attempting to surge, get those Liverpool scouts to try and push that move to Liverpool over the line, which will be wonderful for him and will break my bloody heart. How are you getting home tonight? There's no trains now, right?
Oh, staying up in Liverpool. So staying overnight and getting up nice and early in the morning to make early kickoff.
God bless in every regard. Can we just have your moment of the whole experience? Going to an away game, there's obviously the 90 minutes of the football, but it's the joy, the comradeship, the friendship, the memories made along the way. Just give us an insight into some of the things that you will remember from the past 24 hours that you will keep inside it.
I think the mad thing about an away day is actually you've just almost got to throw yourself in like it's a crowd surf, and actually you might lose your friends, but ultimately you're amongst 3,000 other people who all support the same club. So even if you lose friends, or actually if you end up talking to different people in the stands, you've all got a common goal. So actually, yes, you might go up with a couple of people, but the amount of people you end up talking to on an away day is pretty crazy because everyone sees your black and white scarf or your Fulham hat or something like that, and most people just want to chat and ask your opinion about the game or the trip or anything else like that. That's what I think makes away day travelling so special and unique to English football, and why it's the best way to follow football. Yes, you can go watch your team at home, and it's always fun, it's always nice, but there's something magical about watching your team on the road and being the underdogs as well. You're there at Anfield. There's 55,000 Liverpool fans. There's only 3,000 of us in the corner, but it's that feeling of being outnumbered that I think makes, why I'll always try and go to away games forever, because the thrill of being outnumbered is so much bigger than being kind of in the home end of a stadium for me. So yeah, anytime anyone ever listening gets to watch their team away from home, if you're ever over in England, do it. It's hard to get tickets. It's not always simple, but there's often a way. Do it once because the experience is pretty special.
God bless. Go to an away game. You could have Sammy from early kickoff, knock your glasses off next. Quick question from the chat for you before we let you go. Blue Calix asks, what does a homegrown Fulham fan like you, Sammy, think about full America, that, the American lineage, that culture that we're so bloody proud of? We take photos at the Brian McBride bra. What do you think of the history of Yanks who play for their club? Is it like, to us, it's everything. To you guys, is it like a minor detail?
No, it's not a minor detail at Fulham. It might be a minor detail at other clubs that have had one or two Americans, but no, Fulham is, I think, actually very proud of the American history, because we've had so many great players over the years, all the way from McBride. He was one of the first. He actually wasn't the first. He had the likes of Marcus Hanneman back in the day, but Brian McBride was probably the first proper one, and Dempsey, and even now with Robinson and Ream, I think it's been best part of 20 years that Fulham have always had an American in the team, give or take. So no, we're extremely proud of it, and obviously, part of my side hustle is running the Fulhamish podcast, and so much of our audience is American, and they're the ones that interact with us the most and connect with us the most, because I think they rely on us the most, to be perfectly honest, because the Brits don't really need a podcast. They've got their mates to chat to. So I love the American side of Fulham, and when we went out there over in the States back in July, it was really special to meet all the Americans who get up at 5, 6, 7 a.m. to watch their team in bars across America. I think it's something that a lot of people over here do recognise and are proud of as well. Like, we don't have any other massive followings in any other countries particularly. So America is one that Fulham's always connected with.
There's not like a Fulham India podcast or anything.
Not as far as not as far as I know. I think there's the odd little supporters club here and there, but America really is special to Fulham, and we always never take the love that we get from the States.
I love you, Sammy. I do love also how the way you said people in England don't need a podcast because they got their mates to chat to, which implicitly suggests that everybody in America has no mates. We'll skip over that one, and we'll just say your Fulhamish podcast is so bloody good. You are an incredible podcast. I will say you and George, you've come into Helm, our early kickoff podcast every single bloody morning. I mean, it's been the joy of my 2023, finding you guys, working with you guys, building with you guys. If you listen to Sammy, you know it well. Early kickoff is the greatest. I start my day every morning. I kiss my wife. I say hello to my kids. This is the man's voice who I hear right after that. He is on every morning on Men in Blazers Early Kickoff, the podcast which in 10, 12 minutes will set you up for the entire day with your footballing knowledge. It's on a different podcast feed to this one. Just search Men in Blazers Early Kickoff, subscribe, listen every single morning to get your head straight. I'm so proud of this podcast, so blown away, honestly, by the work that's you, Sammy, and your team pour into it. As you say, football don't sleep, and neither do we. Just say, I'm fascinated. How are you finding the whole experience?
Love it. It's honestly, it's an absolute joy every morning to take the best of the football world from the last 24 hours, and we have and what we try and do on the podcast, we try and have a bit of fun with it as well. We're not just trying to tell the news. There's lots of places that can do that for you. We're trying to find the light and shade every single day, and be creative and be imaginative, but also try and condense what is often a dizzying football media landscape, and just try and make it into something that's 10 minutes. We might not cover every single story in the world, but we'll cover all the ones that we think matter.
You kind of do. It is so bloody comprehensive, but like everything we're trying to create on the Men in Blazers Media Network, I hope it leaves me feeling more joyous about life after partaking in it. I'm so bloody grateful. I do want to get you off, you beautiful human being. Just tell us, my brother Nige, massive red, probably out. You can probably see him. He's probably the one streaking down in Bootle as we speak. Tell us, Fulham lads on the lash post game. Where are you now, and what's the plan of attack for the evening in Liverpool? By the way, Americans, the greatest and most magnificent city. It is a stunning and remarkable place. By the way, you can stay at Nigel's house. You don't have to sleep in the street in your own upchuck tonight. I can hook you up. Just tell us, what's the plan? What's the plan of attack to be on the lash?
Well, we're currently at a pub. I don't know if you know it, Rog. It's called The Park. It is right opposite the Cop. You could not be closer to the front of the Cop. I'm literally looking at the back of the Cop right now, and the letters YNWA and some of the players on there. So a few of the team, a few of my friends are in the Park pub, whilst I'm kind of just outside chatting to you. So I think I'm going to go find my Stella Artois, which is just currently sitting on the side waiting for me.
Go and get. How many of you boys are there?
There's definitely. I think that they've now caught up. They're a little bit ahead of me, so I think I've got catching up.
Next round of pints is on us in every regard. You're a beautiful human being. Again, this is Sammy from Early Kickoff. Subscribe to the great, really is a magnificent addition to my life. I hope to your life. Sammy from Early Kickoff. Enjoy every second. We'll hear your voices in our ears, yours and Betty Glover's tomorrow from 6 a.m. Eastern time. You will be there. Godspeed. Thanks for joining us, you beautiful human being. Courage, Sammy.
Cheers, Rog.
The best. The finest. We'll take one more quick question from the great Jack Roberts. You're up next, baby. Jack Roberts, tell us where you are and what's your question.
Hey, Raj, Liverpool fan here, calling in from Washington, D.C.
Where about in D.C., Jack? Where in D.C.?
Sorry?
Where in D.C., baby?
Chevy Chase, Maryland. So right on the border there.
Double C. It's not every day that I drop a Trading Places quote, so we get the Dan Aykroyd and the mention of Chevy Chase in one podcast. I think at least since 1986 that has not occurred. When we did a review of Spies Like Us, one of the greatest worst movies of all time. But a Liverpool fan, let me say congratulations, Jack Roberts.
Thank you, sir.
How are you feeling? Tell us what your question is.
I'm feeling great after that win. I'm absolutely buzzing. But I'm just wondering why Darwin Nunez gets so much flack. He has 18 goal involvements this year, and he came on tonight and assisted both of our goals. I understand he misses probably way too many chances, but he creates so much chaos every time he comes on. Every time I listen to...
How do you understand it, Jack? I mean, how would you... I think it's a great question. I think there's a footballing answer. I think there's an English answer. in every regard. But like from a football, like, how do you understand it?
Well, I understand that he misses a ton of chances, but at the same time, he's fourth in the league in assists right now, and he just creates so many goals, and he's around the net all the time. And the pundits just give him so much flack. Stevie Nicol was just ripping him a new one, and like, I don't understand it.
Yeah, I mean, I think number one, footballingly, Darwin. What did he cost? It was like £85 million when he arrived.
Yeah.
Like 100 million. So that's you're Grealishing there. You are Grealishing. There's a heavy weight which then rests on your shoulders, and English human beings. We love failure. I was chatting to somebody about this yesterday. An American who's been involved in the Premier League. We were laughing. English people, Americans, they love a success story. You do. You love your television shows are most often aspirational. English television shows. I've written about this in my memoir. Coronation Street, EastEnders, Brookside. They're all about working class misery. Offered up not for entertainment, but also almost as warnings. Like, you think your life's crap? Stop your moaning. Let's serve the nation up half an hour of true working class misery. Your life isn't that bad. Stop your moaning. So when people do well, we most often, I think in Australia they call it tall poppy syndrome. We most often like to cut them down. Talked about this a lot. Steve Coogan, the British actor, he said, you give an English person the choice between their own success and your failure, they'll choose your failure all the time. And I'm saying that because when someone arrives with $100 million price tag, like in America, you're like, wow, great, that's amazing, this is a mega deal, merch, hype, amazing. In England, we're like, oh my God, I cannot wait for that guy to F up so big time. Can't wait for them to choke on their own bile. And then there's another wrinkle in Liverpool. Liverpool have been so bloody good at scouting, so bloody good at recruitment. We're still recoiling, the rest of us, to be candid, from the days of Mane, Salah, Crazy Bobby, Bobby Chompers. And so, like, there's nothing we want more in that moment when Liverpool are reloading than for them to fail. To fail on that much money for Liverpool Football Club will mean not just that the player fails, but the project will sink. That's a big ticket item, 100 million for Liverpool to swallow. So all of that, and the reality is, he's judged not just on the 100 million and all of the expectation of, come on, please fail, but he's judged by the fact that he's not Mo Salah. And Mo Salah's standards, the bar he sets is just so exquisitely, relentlessly, consistently, competitively high. He's humanly magnificent. So what's failure for Darwin? It's not just failure in its own, and you're coming at me with your goal involvement stat and all that stuff. He's pretty bloody good. I watch him. We've joked before, the joke about Dzeko, the old Manchester City player. No one could ever tell. I think his nickname in Bosnia was Lamppost when he came through. No one could tell whether he was a terrible player who had truly brilliant moments or a brilliant player who had a lot of terrible moments. Darwin is in that kind of conversation as you want. But that's why I think, like, there's so much general, like, wanting him to fail. There's so much pressure on him as a footballer. That price tag, he's kind of Grealishing, first season Grealishing. And then Klopp chucks him on there like Buck Compton chucking a grenade at the enemy at Brecourt Manor. He's like the great friend who, when they turn up for a night out, you're equal parts thrilled and scared because you never know how it's going to end. A bit like Sammy's night in Liverpool. It's either going to have the greatest night out ever or you're going to end up in jail, or maybe both. Who bloody knows with Darwin Núñez? I love him. By the way, I love him. I love his spirit. I love his energy. I love his life force. I love his relentless seeming joy in the face of all that expectation. And you're right. Jack Roberts, we saw it tonight, came on, changed found a way to change the game. Did his whole greatest hits, really. He did that header, which Bernd Leno palmed away. He had that the close range, a stab, which was snuffed away. I get the feeling, Jack, I'm not really going to open the odds on this. I've got a feeling he's going to become a relentless goal scorer. Something is most certainly going to click. But he is a player, right? When he comes on, you're not gutted when this human being comes on. You are thrilled because him coming on. Anything can happen, right?
Yep, absolutely, no question.
And that is what is great about football. Can I ask you very quickly before I let you go? This is the quote winter break of English football. We're about to hit this weird staggered. Half the teams get a weekend off this weekend. There's 10 teams playing 5 games this week, and then the next week there's the same. The other teams play their round. How are you feeling heading into this weekend? No Liverpool Football Club.
Oh, I'm ecstatic. I mean, the quadruple is still alive, technically. We're top of the table. We're 2-1 up heading into the second leg of a League Cup semifinal, heading into the 4th round of the FA Cup. I honestly could not be happier. That performance against Arsenal really boosted my spirits. I am a bit concerned about Salah and Endo being absent for the next few weeks in AFCON in the Asia Cup, but and Trent getting injured is also a very big blow. But I think Andy Robertson's going to be back. Sorry, go ahead.
A very big blow. I mean, I feel for him. Humanly, I feel for him. Just like, again, all that hate, all that doubt. We're all laughing at Trent. He's a liability. He can't defend. Trent has had the tenacity to rise up and show us that bloody hell, that man. What he can do at times is just avant-garde, preternatural, Luke Skywalker level crap. And then to have this injury, to be out at this key time, I do feel for him. But Jack Roberts, you have forever given us a phrase. I'd love to slap it on the front of a mug. I'm not a religious man, but when I hear these words, the quadruple is still alive in your accent. Just say it for me one more time. It makes me love America.
The quadruple is still alive, baby. Let's go.
Jack Roberts, like Darwin, you are a human life force. Come be with us anytime. What a magnificent night it has been. God bless Sammy James. To see tonight through his eyes was a real delight. That's essentially what being an Everton fan has been reduced to, living vicariously through other people's joy. Jackie Roberts, the great JR, what a magnificent human being. And I want to end by thanking you all, reading a lovely raven, which I got, I think, yesterday, sent to us at meninblazers@gmail.com. I love your letters. They fill me with joy in a time of darkness. This one came from Heidi Griffiths of New York City. She's a Maidstone United fan. Many of you will remember from the weekend, the FA Cup story of wonder, the National League South, Maidstone United, 6th tier, I think that is. Their 1-0 win, FA Cup victory over League One Stevenage. Probably, and I don't like to be hyperbolic, but I would bet it made last weekend one of the greatest weekends ever in the whole history of bloody Maidstone. Oh, not to get too Alice Cooper on you, but it dates back to AD 975. We've heard so many lovely things, honestly, in our mailbag from so many Maidstone fans. First of all, I had no idea there were so many Maidstone fans in the United States of America. And I've tried to send all their notes to the other Maidstone fans in the hope of like knitting them together into Maidstone America or whatever the hell that would be called. But let me quickly read this letter that Heidi sent because I love it. Heidi wrote, "Dear Rog, been a long time listener to your wonderful pod, and I've often intended to email you to express my gratitude for the love, compassion and joy which you share with us all each week. Thank you, Heidi." Heidi continues, "I typed this missive from the good old Lower East Side of New York City, but I am a Maidstonian growing up in the town, and I loved your thoughts on that beautiful match, but feel compelled to say Maidstone is decidedly not a hard scrabble place, but rapidly gentrifying town on Kent's north coast. Perhaps you were thinking on the pod of the equally glorious Margate. Maidstone is a market town sitting smack in the middle of Kent, bestriding the mighty River Medway." Oh, the monsters of Medway, where in my youth it was surrounded by sandstone quarries, orchards, hop gardens with the Fremlin's Brewery towering over the river. Oh, we drink Bud Light on this show, but I'm imagining you just chasing little butterflies and things as the river burbled beautifully. I watched the match, back to Heidi, on Saturday, found myself blubbering at the final whistle as the joyous Maidstone fans spilled onto the pitch. I grew up in a house where rugby ruled. My Welsh dad, a rugby fan to his core. Twickenham, the National Rugby Stadium, his church. I have no idea how football crept into my heart, but it did. I formed an attachment to Chelsea when I was 7 or 8. I fell asleep on the sofa in dark winter Saturday afternoons to the soothing sounds of the football results, collected team badges, coins from the gas stations. I did that too, Heidi. And my dad, despite his heart living elsewhere, spent countless hours kicking a ball with me in the back garden. I think it was that memory which made those tears flow. And the knowledge that there was no place for me in football in England in the 1970s, what I would have given to play with a Maidstone United youth team. I hope there are young women, Heidi writes, growing up in Maidstone now who have dads like mine and the opportunity to pull on football boots every week to train on the banks of the River Medway. God bless Heidi Griffiths. That is us told about Maidstone, corrected as it should be. We put the record straight. But also, I love your letter. It captures a sense of the powerful memories, generational memories, deeply profound biographical memories that football can make and unearth and dislodge. And we are all so much better for it. Heidi, thank you, thank you, thank you. And big love to you and Maidstone in the next round. I think you're playing producer J-Dubs Ipswich Town. Before we go, quick mention for everything coming up at Men in Blazers World Headquarters. All of it powered by you, GFOPs who are listening. And of course, tonight, the great Bud Light, easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Tomorrow, brand new episode of Vamos with Herc Gomez, one of the best smelling men in football history, none other than Diego Forlan. I actually have smelt Diego Forlan up close, and he is, I couldn't find the words to describe how he smells. It's just pungently magnificent. He came from Uruguay. He made the Scousers cry. I can't wait to listen to the interview right here on this very pod feed. Also coming up tomorrow, quite excited for this, a new episode of our YouTube series this week in Wrexham with our Welsh Wrexham correspondent, the mighty Tommy Cheese Lewis. In this episode, TCL explores one of Britain's truly great lower league rivalries. Yes, Wrexham of Wales against Shrewsbury, just across the border in England. Subscribe to our YouTube page to make sure you get notified when it goes live. Subscribe now if you're just joining us. It has been delirious tonight. We've made a lot out of a little, a Carabao little, which is always a lot. This is Rog saying, the quadruple is still alive, which sounds just so bloody wonderful and religious. I don't even know what it means as an Everton fan. Big love to you. We will be back on Friday with WGFOP. Give me a call, 646-450-9472, which is the only, this is sad, the only phone number I know by heart other than my wife's. Big love, GFOPs. This is Rog saying courage. And come on, Fulham!